Hey guys, it's Garrett DMG here. I'm back with a video, and today, I kind of want to give you a quick economic chart description of what the government is doing as far as funding and how they're screwing over the American public and the average worker in American and the American dream, you might as well say, because at the end of the day, all we're chasing here is progress, God-given rights and civil liberties to objectify our freedom and to preserve it and to guarantee our well-preserved rights and amendments. Correct? Economically speaking. Not any other sort of, branch of our government. Just the economic branch. Alright, so this is to gauge you guys, just to have you, sort of understand what type of economic ecosystem we're in. Because I hear a lot of people say the system's not broken, but the way we're using it is. And 50% is right, 50% is false. And I'll get into that in this chart. So today I got a chart right up here describing the government. Right? Alright, so we are controlled by what I would call it, the government ecosystem. Right? And it's pretty much, you might as well say, I'm going to make this religious terms, the firmament, it's pretty much the firmament of our economic ecosystem. Meaning we can't go above it, we can't go underneath it. Right? So we're in the confines of down here. Alright? Alright, so now while you're looking at it, now I'll start from right to left or left to right depending on where you're sitting. Alright, so I'm going to start right here at the, what I call is the economic filter that's been put upon the government regarding the laws and regulations in the country, right? And now the only two people that condone the economic filter are the courts and the banks. Nothing gets through them two. Nothing gets through the courts or the banks. Not economically. Okay? And if it does, it is outside the parameters of the law, and you are money laundering. Okay? So, as you guys follow me here, you have a red line and a green line. Okay? And now, what's going to go on is the length span of the year. Correct? So the green line represents your average green-lined American, I'll say, who looks good on paper, right? And here they are, straight and narrow on the path, making money, ignoring the outside and upside influences of what the government can offer. That means you're not doing bad, but you're not doing the best either, because you don't know yet you can do better in this American economy, right? So, as the average American is doing the best they can to make their bills, looks good on paper, and their credit is good, and they look great in all the confines of the American government's requirements. They can get an apartment, they can get a house, they can get a car, they can finance whatever they want within this parameter, right? Which inevitably leads to your tax season. Alright? Then same with the red line. Now what the red line stands for is an American that fluctuates in the economic ecosystem. They go up, they go down. Meaning they get rich, they get poor. Good things happen, bad things happen. Good things happen, then tax season. Correct? They get a job, they lose a job. They get another job, they lose that job inevitably too. And then it goes straight to tax season. Okay? So now that you guys follow me here, what's going on is as both Americans go within the parameters of the year, the taxes collect. Okay? And they collect right towards the end. Most of them are annually. Okay? So with those tax collections, it's not going back to here. It's going all the way over here. Alright, and now these two lines represents every single American in the country. Doesn't matter who you are. Alright? And now some of these people could be doing better. That could be rich or poor. It doesn't matter who it is. But what's going on here is the money gets refunded back into this filter. The economic filter that the courts and the banks have regulated, and made standard. And the rich, they do what's called tax cuts. So they're in the filter, like the mega rich. Also, the wars in this country control the economic filter. Okay? What we're doing economically and politically. And then next is our government, of course. They own everything. Okay? So, inevitably, they will be here. And all the tax revenue that we go year-round for gets collected to the government. But they filter what they give back to us. You see how that makes sense? And so, as these people who look good on paper go through the year, this is what's called a blind spot. Because you can't see the economy fluctuate or decrease. Well, technically you can't see the economy fluctuate because you're doing okay. Okay? And you're doing what you can to keep yourself afloat. And you'll never know how the system works. But the person who is on the red line, they're going up and down. They're fluctuating between the economic ecosystem. Therefore, they know more of the consequences than the people in the green do. Naturally. Okay? And now because of this, no matter where you fall within the economic echelon, the government ecosystem is going to make money regardless. Because the money wasn't supposed to be filtered, it was supposed to be replenished to the people. But that's not happening because of what's in here. The courts and the banks and everything inside the filter. So what's going on here is you have people who pay taxes year-round on goods, services, and will to live. Okay? And all three of those are being collected within the confines of the taxes at the end of the year. But the rich and the government have something called tax invisibility, which I'll call it. Now that's your tax cuts, that's your benefits within the confines of the government that replenish it to do what it needs to do. Okay? So they're filtering out the economic economy. I can't even speak. They're filtering out the economic ecosystem that's been built. Indirectly. Not willingly. Indirectly. Because the banks and the courts, they control your marriages. They control your birth rates. They control the start of everything that you do as an American citizen. And they benefit off it as you abide by the law. That's just the way it works. Inevitably. So with that being said, this is the slavery with extra steps. Okay? And this is the system that's messing us. The beginning and the end. Where the money's going, where the money's going out. So that's pretty much an idea of what's going on in this economy. And it's pretty busted. But at the same time, out of both of these lines, I'd rather be the red. Because within the red, you're seeing not only no blind spots, but you're also seeing the fluctuation of the economy. As opposed to the person that looks good on paper, they're just following the rules that the system overlooks. And they'll never see the economic ecosystem. So that's what's going on today, is that the economic filter is taking advantage of the blind spot. Okay? So that's kind of the idea of what's happening here. And that's the reason behind pretty much all your economic downfalls within the confines of this country. Because of this green line. You follow the rules so much that you can't see that the rules are being changed around you. Day by day, year by year. Candidate by candidate, Democrat or Republican. It doesn't matter. But the system never changes. You do. Okay? So that's pretty much my sort of breakdown on the economic chain. And it's not the system that's broken per se, but it's the way it's being used. Because if you look back on this graph, the economic filter was supposed to be directed back to the people, which it inevitably is, because this system relies on that return of investment. Okay? And that's what they call it in economic terms, ROI, or return of investment. So their return goes through the courts and the banks that fund you throughout the yearly, time limit or timeline. And so you can see, looking good on paper is so linear that the confines of benefiting or not benefiting cancel out. So therefore, you fall within the parameters of the blind spot. Therefore, they can control you and you would never see it. Because they control the filter indirectly and they're outside the economic ecosystem. So hopefully that explains to you guys on how the government's really fucking us here. Indirectly. Now this is your marriages, your divorces, however you begin and end economically is how the government's going to fund inevitably. Because they control the economic ecosystem. So guys, hopefully that explains to you a little bit more on what's going on here. Maybe it opens your eyes a little bit more as to what the government's trying to do, or what they've been doing for years. It doesn't seem like the right things are being funded. And now a lot of people are starting to figure out the schemes and the scams that are going on. Nick Shirley's one of them. Alright? Because the rich, they do something called tax cuts. But they also do something called tax cuts in the existence of an economic ecosystem that honors return of investment. Inevitably. So therefore, their money never changes. Ours does. Because we operate within the parameters of the tax system. So that's the explanation, guys. It doesn't get any more simpler than that. And hopefully you guys learned a little something. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.